quote, Stromberg. Now it's my turn.
Merry Christmas, 007. This week, the Bond film of the week was The Spy Who Loved Me. I think this is Roger Moore's Goldfinger. It has all the elements of a classic Bond film. The larger-than-life villain, the hot girl, the iconic gadget car, an invincible over-the-top henchman, and lots of excitement. This is a great film. Let's find out how some of my awesome supporters feel about this one.
Stromberg's vision was never going to work out the way he wanted. I know because I played BioShock. The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977, directed by Lewis Gilbert and starring Sir Roger Moore. The first time I watched the series, it was in basically random order. I started with GoldenEye and Casino Royale. So, the third movie in that sequence was The Spy Who Loved Me. Because, well, Sir Roger Moore was my mom's favorite Bond actor, and I had heard it called his best movie. I guess? I mean, this is kind of like Live and Let Die again, where, I mean, it's good, the title song is great, the Bond woman is hot. I will say, Jaws, played by Richard Kiel, always steals the show whenever he's on screen. The parachute jump in the pre-title sequence was great too. This movie does have some great stuff about it, but Sir Roger's take on the character, as I said before, took a while to click with me. Maybe, one day I'll watch this movie again and it'll just finally make its way into my top 5 Bond movies. That could happen, but something about it just doesn't really do it for me as much as I feel like it should, because there's nothing particularly wrong with it. I can't really say I was wowed by the movie as a whole.
Right from the first sounds of the remixed Bond theme, The Spy Who Loved Me is a film that suggests a complete abrupt face from the previous few Bond films. The epic world threat storyline is reintroduced, we are introduced to Major Amasova, and we see Bond being ordered to pull out of his mission in Austria, literally, since it involves a beautiful blonde. Of course, Bond's Amore is a double agent, as she informs some Russian shits in black ski suits with lemon piping, sorry, couldn't resist an Alan Partridge reference there, that he is on his way and to take him down. My oh my, we still haven't seen the credits and already we have an action set piece that is a highlight of the series. Everything about this set piece is pure Bond. Skiing, gadgets, and the pièce de résistance is Bond jumping over a cliff into the abyss and he opens his parachute. Probably the most iconic introduction in the series, not to mention the best intro at the time. Bond was back with a vengeance. The film is an absolute joy and breeze to watch. A simple storyline of a megalomaniac illogically wanted to bring about World War III so the human race moves under the sea. All because he has webbed hands. Some people. The action of the film is great, with the train fight and the first gadget car chase since Goldfinger being a major highlight. I mean, a sports car turning into a submarine. You can't get more Bondian than this. The characterization of Bond and Anya is also well handled, and I love how these two characters interact. Bond is the perfect gentleman and is very cynical about his profession, referencing the stupidity of secrecy, whilst Anya prides on her profession and her communism. The scene when Bond reveals to Anya that he killed her boyfriend in Austria is handled really well. Moore goes serious and reflective, and he really does pull it off. He's not smug about his actions, but realistic about it. This is the job that Anya and Bond do. This is the life they lead, but Anya wants her pound of flesh. Very interesting stuff. The tanker set piece is also a highlight, and the idea of a 007 soundstage was well thought through. For once, Ken Adams' set has been shot to its full advantage, and it doesn't disappoint, obviously. Claude Renoir's cinematography is a welcome return to the epic scope shots of previous Bonds, but this time it's far more satisfying since this is a beautiful film that does away with the small and bland. The shots in the tanker recall You Only Live Twice, but they are far less colourful, making the film not only more contemporary, but less camp. Marvin Hamlish's score may be of its time, but it complements the action perfectly. Bond 77 is a fantastic track to listen to. Also, the Bond theme gets re-recorded, and in my opinion is the best recording of the theme alongside the original as heard in Dr. No. The gun barrel and the scene when Bond is running the camera to deliver the explosives to the armoured room are so understated, but when it appears, you surrender to the theme. As for the song, 15 years and 10 films in, we finally have a song about Bond himself. An absolute masterpiece that to this day brings tears of joy to my eyes. Nobody does it better as my third favourite Bond song, and it's a song that is about Bond, his vanity, his skills, and what he represents. A beautiful song that beautifully accompanies the title sequence, probably Binder's best title sequence of the series. As for the negatives, well, Jules may be iconic, but he's a fool. I forgive him though. But Barbara Bach as Anya is sad to say a bit wooden in her delivering of the lines. She has great chemistry with Moore, but I feel a better actor would have given the part of Anya a bit more spontaneity. Bach just forces the surprises in. The Spy Who Loved Me will always hold a special place in my heart, since this was the first Bond film I ever saw. I mean, you literally cannot start discovering the Bond series without having seen this film. The Spy Who Loved Me is the perfect escapist Bond flick. A breeze in pacing, phenomenal set pieces, and Moore finally indulging his strengths on an epic canvas. Despite a few hiccups, the film is in my opinion one of the best Bond films to date. So good in fact that it just pales in comparison to From Russia with Love, and is in 6th place in my top 10 favourite Bond films. To describe The Spy Who Loved Me as a classic of the series is an understatement. In my opinion, this is the film that saved the Bond series after a decade of uncertainty, ever since Connery's two departures and Harry Saltzman selling his shares in Eon. Which is ironic since it uses the bare-bones story from You Only Live Twice, only this time it's far better, and this film proved that no one does it better than Bond.
The Spy Who Loved Me is Roger Moore's second best Bond film, behind For Your Eyes Only in my opinion. It was the Bond film where Moore finally became comfortable with the role, seemingly. Spy is definitely amongst Goldfinger and Casino Royale as 3 of the most iconic films in the franchise. The pre-title sequence was superb, Jaws is great, and Marvin Hamlish's score is certainly not one of my personal favorites but was a solid score. And hats off to Albert R. Broccoli for putting this masterpiece together all by himself, as the sole producer for the first time. The Spy Who Loved Me to me is basically You Only Live Twice but with everything done better, because nobody does it better. The reason why I think The Spy is only the second best Roger Moore Bond is because For Your Eyes Only is a better interpretation of Ian Fleming's 007, plus a little bias being my personal favorite movie of all time.
So, The Spy Who Loved Me, number 10. Yeah, it's a good one. I like this one. Definitely like the music. I can't remember the composer's name, but I'm sure someone will remind me in the comments. But I really do like the sort of more modern 70s sound he gave the film. Major props to a lot of the actors. I do love Roger Moore seems to be on top form in this film. Probably his best performance. We got a surprise appearance from Shane Rimmer, voice of Scott Tracy from Thunderbirds, and also scriptwriter and story editor for a couple of other Jerry Anderson shows, Captain Scarlet being his main one as well. Where else do we go? Car, the Lotus Esprit. Favourite tidbit about that is the fact that when they were making the film, the boss of Lotus simply drove it up to the Bond offices, covered up all the Lotus symbols and logos, and then waited until lunchtime. All the crew came out, gathering around the car, wondering what it could be. All he did, as they were looking, is he simply got in the car and drove away. That is genius if I've ever heard it. But yes, fantastic film, lovely direction, Jaws, fantastic henchman. Really pleased Richard Kiel was cast in that. He's just spot on. He's absolutely amazing. Surprisingly dark kills for the light-hearted Moore films. But you got Jaws biting a shark, which is the semi-light-hearted bit about it. It's an enjoyable film overall. Do give it a watch.
Okay guys, so today I'm gonna talk about The Spy Who Loved Me. Sorry I'm a bit sick, but I really wanted to do this review anyway. So what do I think about this movie? Well, I think it's very good, and and it's one of my favorite. We have you now.
And that's it for this week's Bond Film of the Week episode in the lead up to No Time to Die. Would you like to join in on the weekly discussions and be featured with your review as well? Well, join the DBF community on Patreon, get access to my Discord server, as well as receiving other cool rewards. You can send in your reviews for Moonraker this week by joining the DBF community, and I'll be happy to feature you.